Good morning, British literature superstars, and welcome to week number 10. So we are now in the double digits as far as weeks go. So we're kind of closing in on the end of our actual readings. We're getting to the point now where we're about to ready start to prepare for the research paper. But we still have a few more weeks of readings left. This is the week we're going to close out the Victorian era. What that means is you've got one reading, which is Rudyard Kipling's short story, Man Who Would Be King. And then we've got the Victorian exam this week, which should already be open by the time you watch this video. Only one discussion posting, though, so that's good news. This week's reading is a little bit long, but what I want you to pay attention to as you read this is a couple of things. One is the main characters in Man Who Would Be King are named Peachy and Daniel. And then, of course, there's the newspaper reporter who is actually narrating the story. And what this is a story about is two guys who are kind of drifters, homeless, ne'er-do-wells, if you want to call them such. They actually put together a plan to go into a faraway nation called Kafiristan and basically take over and become their kings. And the way they want to do it is by uniting the warring tribes together into one nation, and then they would be both king and god, if you will, of these people. Now, here's why it's important to note how Daniel and Peachy go about becoming kings and conquering Kafiristan, is because we talked a little bit about British imperialism last week. The methods in which Daniel and Peachy go about uniting the tribes and becoming the kings and overlords of Kafiristan mirror the way that Great Britain was able to unite the warring tribes of India and become the leaders of India. In fact, Queen Victoria would be named the Empress of India around 1867, I think it was. So, it's pretty important to know these things as you're reading this, because it's a reflection on how Britain actually conquered India, but at the same time, the story doesn't really end well for Peachy or Daniel, especially not Daniel. So this could be a little bit of a warning by Kipling that Britain's stronghold on India may be tenuous at best. And, if they make a few mistakes, it can get very bloody. And in fact, that is what would happen sometime later. So pay attention to that. Also pay attention to the Masonic symbolism in this. If you don't know what the Order of the Masons is, or what a Masonic lodge is, Google it before you read the story. Because Daniel and Peachy are low-level Masons, which means that they have knowledge to certain symbols and to certain handshakes and things of that nature. They are not high-ranking Masons. If they were, things might have worked out better for them. Lots of famous people have been Masons, including many of our founding fathers that started this country. So, look at how they take the Masonic symbolism, they turn it into something religious, and therefore create a fear of these imaginary gods in the Kafiristans. In fact, Daniel and Peachy are going to assume the roles of gods thanks to this Masonic code that they're going to experience over there. So, that's what we need to know for that. Now, for the exam, it's going to be similar to the exam you took for the Victorian. There will be, I've got 42 questions on it. I think it's 21 and 21. Some of them are general knowledge questions about the Victorian period itself, about Queen Victoria, about the history of it, some of the background, some general knowledge about the Industrial Revolution, about imperialism, such as that. And then the other part is direct quotes. In fact, if you look in your D2L, there should be, in fact, what I'll do is I'll attach as an email is what I'll do. I'll attach an email probably later this afternoon, not this morning, but later this afternoon. I will attach an email, a little study guide, so you'll know what to look for as you are preparing to take this exam. You have a week to do it, or almost a week, 6 days to do it. So it'll be due by midnight next Sunday. All multiple choice, so even if you're struggling with the answer, you might be able to find it. And then we can, the computer will grade it for you, and you'll know pretty much right away how well you did on it. So you've got the Rudyard Kipling reading and posting, and you've got the Victorian exam. And that will close out the Victorian period, and then we'll start the 20th century next week. So thank you so much for going on this little journey with me so far. We're about, I don't want to say quite 2/3 of the way through the semester yet, but we're well over halfway now. And I hope you're enjoying our readings, and I hope that you all do well on the posting and the exam this week.